welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be making mushroom empanadas, and I am very excited about this one.
Yeah, this is going to be delicious. We had this somewhere else like a week ago in a nice fancy restaurant, and so we're going to make it for like no money.
Well, not no money. So mushrooms, something really fun about mushrooms is that it is definitely worth it to get like high quality mushrooms. So we were really excited today because at our farmer's market we actually found these fun shiitake and cremini mushrooms.
All right, we're going to do the big reveal.
Big reveal.
You got everything hidden in these bags
So
here,
we're going to do some
don't put them out.
ingredient introduction. Oh no, mushroom down!
It's okay, it grew in the ground in like a log somewhere. So
That's true. So here we have our shiitakes. These are just really beautiful. And then right here we have our creminis. And it's really fun when you do something with mushrooms to make sure you get a mushroom blend. This is important because they have different flavors.
Right, so you get a little bit of a mix and then, you know, a little bit more of a balance and broader palate and broader flavor, yeah.
Yeah, so these are going to be really good. So I would say these were our high ticket item today. We spent about $6 between the two different types of mushrooms to get those.
And it's kind of a lot, so yeah, that'll go a long way. And then, oh man, bag number 2.
You ready? What's behind bag number 2? Jalapenos!
These are like monster jalapenos.
These are really big. Well, what's fun is we went to Nicaragua a few years ago, and the jalapenos there are actually much larger even than these, which are pretty monstrous.
Yeah.
But they're not as hot as jalapenos in America.
They weren't crazy spicy at all. They had a really good flavor, and they were you weren't just like grabbing for a glass of water or milk, you know, after every bite.
Yeah. Now people might be saying, why did you get 4 jalapenos? Because like 2 mushroom ratio, that's kind of a lot. But it's just because they were 4 for $1. So they were a big steal. So we will probably only use 1 to 2 for this recipe, and then we'll make poppers or something later this week.
Oh man, and poppers are the best.
Then we get a CSA box, and in it this week we got a lovely spring onion. What's really fun about getting onions from farmers markets or from your farmer is they come with all the green onions right on them.
Right.
So
I mean, this is, if you've never seen it before, if you've only ever shopped in the grocery store, this is an actual green onion plant. So
yeah,
full stock and everything.
So we'll use this for this recipe and maybe some of the green onion, and then we'll put the rest kind of chopped up in the fridge to do something else with. And then we have our trusty garlic here, because garlic goes in absolutely everything. Obviously, we've already used some of this bulb.
Right. Every day.
Every day, in every meal. Whenever it calls for garlic, just triple it, and that's the right amount to put in. Bag number 3.
Or 4, we don't know.
Or 4. We have some cilantro, which is kind of necessary for any Central American inspired dish. And this was only $1.
Right, if it tastes like soap to you guys, then, you know, leave it out. But or replace it with another herb of any kind, and, you know, it'll change the flavor a little bit, but it'll still be great. So.
Well, and fun fact about Brett, it kind of tastes like soap for you, but you eat it anyway.
Right, I still think I'm like halfway in between, which I don't know if that's a thing, but, you know, it doesn't taste like amazing to me, but I like don't like not having it. So.
Yeah.
Whether it tastes like soap or not, I enjoy the flavor. So.
And then the only item we had to kind of go to the 2 items we had to go to the grocery store for instead of our farmer's market was limes. We live in the Midwest, so sadly citrus is not really our forte up here.
Yeah, not abundance.
But they were 3 for $1, which is pretty good. And better than DC, man. DC limes, we were in DC a couple weekends ago. Ridiculous.
$2 a lime. Something terrible.
And then the last thing I have in this lovely measuring cup here is just some masa flour. So this is just straight corn flour. It is really cheap. We get a whole big bag of it for $4 to $5, and then it lasts us.
That much, yeah.
Yeah, and it lasts us quite some time. So all of this will turn into, and some water, and some salt and pepper, will turn into some delicious food. And the total that you see here, plus the extra like olive oil and cooking oil, that sort of thing, we're at about $10 for this recipe, which is probably on the high end for a lot of stuff that we personally make. We typically try to keep, you know, our groceries pretty low, but I have no idea how much we're going to get out of this right now, so it'll be kind of fun.
We're running a little low on masa flour, so we'll probably make a half batch ourselves, but, you know, we'll put all the details for the recipe, the full recipe, you know, in the notes below.
Absolutely. And another fun thing, if you want to make empanadas, but you don't want to do mushrooms. This was really our high ticket item right here. Without this, we'd be sitting at about $4, which is very inexpensive.
Yeah, if I want empanadas that have nothing in them.
Well, no, so I was going to actually say,
and green onions.
I was going to say you could swap this out and do some lentils instead.
Right.
Lentils are very inexpensive, and it makes a really good empanada.
Or anything, yeah. You can do lentils, you can do pork, you can do other kinds
Chicken.
of meat. Yeah, fill it with anything that you want to. Just think of, getting like Asian buns and what do they put in there? Pulled pork and all kinds of delicious things, right? Same thing, you can swap that out and do any of those recipes just with any kind of filling like this.
Absolutely. Well,
we picked mushrooms because we had them last week and they're great.
Yeah, and we found them at our farmer's market, so I was super, super pumped. So, all right, well, let's get started, Brett. I think we should start by chopping up some garlic and onion and jalapeno and get that frying.
All right.
Oh, so fun fact, Brett, I actually like to use mushroom stems too. Some people don't use them.
Yeah. No, they taste the same as the actual mushrooms, especially when you're using it as an ingredient. It's a great way to not waste extra food.
You can get more bang for your buck, And why is it, Brett, that you didn't want to leave all the seeds in the jalapeno?
Because it'd be too spicy for you.
Too spicy for me?
Yeah. Remember that one time?
That one time when I put a gallon of Frank's hot sauce on chicken, it made chicken soup.
Yeah, and I was crying. We don't want to have another incident of that.
But yeah, for people who don't know, jalapenos themselves aren't as spicy. It's really all about the seeds.
Right. Seeds and the pith.
Yeah. Thanks for
smashing
that garlic while I'm talking. It's great. Oh, so the other fun fact, too, Brett, about mushrooms is when you wash them, instead of submerging the entire mushroom in water, it's actually better to just take a damp paper towel and kind of wipe off any excess dirt because they're very porous. So if you submerge them in water, they just kind of balloon up and
absorb all the water.
Yeah, and it's really hard to cook them after that. It takes a lot longer, and they texturally change a lot. That's why mushrooms in a can just aren't the same.
Yeah, it tastes a little weirder. It's also kind of a pain to wipe everything off with a paper towel when there's 40 mushrooms in the case that you get.
Well, no pain, no gain,
right.
I think is the saying there, so... Fun thing is when people watch this and they're like, wow, their knife skills aren't very good.
Hey, doesn't matter. I haven't cut my finger off yet. But.
We do not claim to be professionals. We are just food enthusiasts, I would say.
Right. And you don't have to have crazy skills in the kitchen to be able to make food for yourself, right?
Or be able to, or whip something together even for friends that tastes pretty good. You can become a passable chef very quickly. One of my favorite stories about Brett is when we first started dating, he decided to make me hamburger helper for dinner one night, which was a very kind gesture. And
good stuff.
Might be laughing, but in college I was, the holy girl, and I was a vegetarian, so he had to buy vegetable meat crumbles.
I think you just got noodles.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he was out of milk, and so the recipe's bring the pasta to a boil with some milk and the sauce packet. And he's like, well, I don't have any milk, so what could I use? Not water. That's no, butter. Butter is the great answer.
I went the other direction from water.
And turns out when you try to cook noodles in butter, they don't cook.
Which is funny because buttered noodles is one of your favorite things.
I love buttered noodles, but I cook the noodles in water first. I boil them, and then I put some butter on. Doesn't work to go the other direction, oddly enough. But now it's fun because you from there you just decided to learn some minor skills in the kitchen, and you very quickly became a passable cook.
Right? I can make some pretty good stuff now, once in a while.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what prompted us to really start making more videos and to introduce people to the love of cooking is you can start really at any skill set. You don't have to be any type of skilled chef to make some good food. You're gonna toss that into the pan.
Alright, ready to rock?
Yeah. Stir up give those onions a stir, adding our jalapenos and garlic to the mix.
So we just put the peppers and onions in the pan over here with the garlic, and so everything's simmering on like medium heat right now, just getting to know each other a little bit. And we added some salt and pepper.
Did you add the salt and pepper?
No.
Oh. Hey, so we're back. We just spent some time sauteing up some onions, some garlic, and the mushrooms. That took maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, I'd say, Brett.
Yep, kept it on medium heat the whole time, just let everything get to know each other a little bit. Yeah, we added some salt and pepper halfway through, right?
Yeah, so we seasoned it all up, and then we're going to want to blend that, right?
Yeah, so we just want to make it like a cohesive paste on the inside for our particular empanadas. So we're, just gonna make it all nice and smooth, rather than just chunkiness. You could do it either way. If you cut things up fine enough, you can do it that way too. But first, we're going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, so first I wanted to make a yummy cilantro lime sauce so that we can dip them in it at the end, because I think that'll really just, take the dish from here to here.
Yeah, that's like half the battle for this.
And we already had cilantro and lime, so we're not having to get any extra ingredients for this. It's nothing crazy. And then in that crazy green onion we showed you in the beginning, we got the onion bulb from the bottom that we used for the filling. And then with some of those taps, the kind of green onion right here, we're going to just toss that in our sauce to make it a little oniony.
Yep. And then guess what? We're not even going to wash the blender in between doing these two things. To keep things easy, we're going to carry over a lot of these flavors and put that directly into the empanada filling that we're making. You get a little bit of both, best of both worlds.
All right, so what am I doing here? I am juicing a whole lime we're going to put in here.
Come on, muscles.
I know. Do you want to squeeze this for me a little bit here, Brett?
I guess.
Fun fact, we actually had a friend who broke one of these once because he squeezed it so hard. So do exercise.
Right in the eye. Oh, God.
You gotta be careful with these, okay? They're very dangerous. They might squirt you in the eye. You might break the handle in half.
But they're super worth it, so we haven't got one ourselves.
We have used several different types of citrus juicers, and this is by far my favorite model. Super easy, low maintenance, and it doesn't take up a ton of room. As you can see, we don't have necessarily tons and tons of storage space here, so that is advantageous. Okay, so we juiced... Where are you at, Britt?
Oh.
We juiced our entire lime, and then I just chopped up, and this is why I'm gonna be bad at writing up the recipe in the description, because I chopped up amount of cilantro.
Right, you just grab kind of a handful and just chop it up.
Yeah.
It looks like about the right amount.
And you just kind of wing it. That's what you'll find with cooking, is once you get to a certain point, you kind of follow recipes, you kind of wing it.
Well, so Angela likes to do things by touch and feel, so a lot of her recipes have to do with, this amount. Well, you just gotta figure it out as you go along. I'm a lot more meticulous myself, and I like to know what the recipes are in detail. So.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, one of my recipes today.
Herbs, though, herbs, you can't go wrong. I mean, maybe you can over-herb it, but 99% of people can't do it. Same with seasoning, right? So seasoning, most people, especially when they're making potatoes, don't season enough.
Everything. Actually, America, can we chat? So, and maybe some Europeans too, but I don't know. We've been to Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Their food is good and seasoned and fun and fresh, but oh my gosh, sometimes people in America throw some seasoning on it.
Right.
It's not gonna kill you.
Guess what? Whatever you're doing at home, they're doing 100 times more salt in the restaurant. And you taste it, and you think their food's better.
Yeah.
That's just because, people use less seasoning at home.
So I think we might want actually another half a lime here.
All right, so we're gonna toss it in. So we'll have total 1.5, normal size, palm size limes total for this guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell our kind viewers what you're doing there, Brett. You're just hulking out.
Oh, too much, and the handle breaks off. Right?
All right. So we have our 1.5 cups of lime juice. We have about a handful of cilantro that's chopped up. Some green onion. We pre-chop it before we put it in the blender, just because it kind of helps to make sure it'll really get fine, instead of sometimes if you don't chop it up at all, it just stays really chunky.
Yeah, you'll get a little fibrousness if you don't kind of pre-chop it a little bit, but.
And
or you can just let it run on high for 10 minutes and that'll take care of it.
That's true. And then we put in a generous amount of salt and pepper. And then I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little crazy today, and we're going to make this an aioli.
Yeah, so normally this is just, a super runny, liquidy sauce, or just cilantro, lime, just the kind of stuff. So we're going to thicken it up a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of a tang to it. Make it a little bit more of a creamy sauce.
So if I was a measuring type of gal, I would say that's about a tablespoon and a half. But I'm not a measuring type of gal, so I just say plop some mayonnaise in there.
Spoonful and a half. Yeah.
And see what happens. All right, we're gonna go blend this up. We will be right back. All right, so we just blended her up, and when we first did our initial taste test, we were like, oh, that's a little tiny because of the mayonnaise and the lime. So we tossed in just a little bit more salt to really help neutralize it, and that actually helped us.
Just a pinch, not like all the seasoning we told you to add earlier.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just you know, like a I would say. So now I want to do another quick taste test just to make sure it's good before we finalize it. So. I think that is pretty good.
Adding the salt made the flavors just pop a little bit. So we didn't add a whole lot. You don't taste the salt. You taste a little bit more of the lime. You taste a little bit more of the tang and the flavors.
And the cilantro. Yeah. So we are done with the sauce here. And we're just going to toss it right in a little measuring cup just to get it out of the way. And you won't really notice, but you'll see that my blender here is not super clean. And it's because we're just going to go right on, and we're going to bring our pan over here with all the good stuff, and we're just going to dump in our mushrooms. All right, Brett, so we got that nice and blended.
Delicious.
And
I had some samples.
Me too. It is very good. I'm very excited, and I'm getting ready to eat, but we have to make our dough. And a lot of people, I think, are pretty scared of making corn tortillas or corn flour things. Actually super duper easy because all you need is, well, really 3 ingredients. So we'll have our masa flour, we'll have our water, and we'll have our salt. Now traditionally with masa flour, I like to do about half as much water to flour ratio, and then from there it's Brett's favorite thing because then I just kind of do my little field test and I add more water as I need to.
Yeah, and you can always add more water. It's a lot harder to add more flour, right, of any kind, whether it's corn flour or regular flour. So they're on the side of dryness.
So this is a really good texture here because it's kind of like Play-Doh almost, and so it's not sticking to my hand, it's not sticking to the bowl, and it easily forms and holds shapes, which is exactly what we want to see when we're going to make our flour. And then we'll just dampen it slightly before we flatten it to make our little empanada rounds. All right, Brett, so like I just kind of said, we want our dough to look like Play-Doh here. So now that we have that, I'll give you half to work with.
Sweet.
And from that, we will break it in half.
Okay.
And then we will break it in half one more time. Now each little half here is going to make 1 empanada. So if my math is correct, we're going to make about 8. And we just did a half batch here. So for about $5 is what we said in the beginning of the video. Well, we said 10 in the beginning, but we did a half batch, so we're at 5. And we're gonna make 8, so 75 cents per empanada, right around there. That's not too shabby. Last I knew, the dollar menu had recently raised their prices, so we're coming in hot with that. So now that we have our balls, we're just going to, I like to use parchment paper, and I just fold it in half, and I'll push down with my hand, and it'll stick everywhere. And then we don't have a tortilla press, so I just like to do the Hulk smash.
Press it out.
Just press it out.
You can also use like a pie pan, like a glass pan. You can use a cup of some kind, anything with a flat bottom. You just press it down and it'll, press it out into a kind of a round shape.
Yeah, all of those would be a good idea. And actually we have a rolling pin.
We do have a rolling pin.
Which is a very good idea. So just to kind of give me a little bit smoother finish here, I'm going to use my trusty rolling pin. And just go ahead, and I'm going to get a couple of these things off of our surface. The nice thing too is I have water right on hand, so as we kind of work the dough, it'll become a little bit drier, and just dampening it will kind of help with any issues. And then when you go to seal your empanada, when you're ready for that step, which we'll just do these kind of right one at a time here, so I'll fill it and we'll go on and seal it at the same time. I'll get a spoon. So to fill it, I'm just going to take one of our spoons here and just put a kind of nice little spoonful in the middle, and that looks a little light, so I'll add a little bit more. So we will add just a small teaspoon of filling, and it always seems like you don't have enough, but if you add too much, then it just becomes really hard to work with and it kind of bulges out. So we will put our filling in, and then we will just lift the side, roll over, and press the edges together. And then if we really want to make it look like a more traditional fun style, we will lightly press the fork onto it to give it those ridged edges.
You don't want to press too hard though, otherwise you'll end up cutting it in half.
That's true. Voila! The fun thing about cooking is sometimes things aren't always perfect. So we can roll the B-roll, but I made an empanada. My first one turned out horribly because I didn't add enough water. So if you feel like that happens to you and the flour is really hard to work with, go ahead and just dip your fingers in your water bowl. That's why I always leave one sitting by me when I'm working the flour, and try again. And we could do like a before and after, and I can show you the difference.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And what temperature are you frying that oil to, Brett?
Winging it temperature.
That's right.
That's right. So
I knew I should have worn my German winging hat for this one.
So you can take a little piece of dough with anything that you're working with, and you can drop it in when you get the oils kind of warming up. You'll see it be like a little bit shimmery in the pan, and you'll hear it sizzle, that little piece of dough when you drop it in. So then you know you're ready to rock.
And so what do we have it on, medium over there?
Yeah, our stove runs a little bit hot, so I have just a below medium heat. That's plenty of heat. You don't want to leave it on high, otherwise you'll start spittering oil when you start frying these guys.
Yeah, and some people have those oil splash guards. We don't have one of those. I do think they work pretty well.
They work great if you fry a lot. Yeah, it's a pretty worthwhile investment because they're like $1. So we're going to fry these guys for probably 2 minutes a side. Just to kind of get them golden brown, nice and crispy on the outside. And they'll be all ready to go.
They are pretty easy to go ahead and just flip right with a fork. So you can just kind of gently test the bottom to make sure that it is golden brown and crispy. And then you can just kind of go ahead and turn it right over and it'll flop right over. And if sometimes they might fall kind of on each other, and you can just gently bat them away with the fork and get them resettled in the oil. So we went ahead, and when we pulled them out of the oil, we put them right onto paper towel, and this just kind of helps absorb any of that excess oil and helps them dry off a little bit before we dig in. All right, so here we have the finished product.
Ta-da!
I am very excited. It has been a journey, but I think it is going to be well worth it, and I'm super excited to
so we got,
take a bite.
we got the crispiness going on here. We covered ours in sauce. We're going to eat real quick because if you leave it in the sauce too long, it's going to get soggy again, right? So the nice crispiness and the saucy texture, right? We're going to dig right in.
And we're going to give you like 100% honest feedback right on camera, because I feel like some cooking shows, they make the food and they don't eat it, and I'm like,
who would do that?
How was it?
Who would not eat
How
their own
was
food?
it? So.
And it's hot. Oh, God. I don't know after one bite. I'm not sure.
Yeah, just like video of us eating for the next 10 minutes straight.
I mean, I'd watch that.
This is pretty good. A good kick of cilantro.
I'm getting a lot of limeliness in it too. Right? Which is perfect for this. So I get the texture from the crunch. I get the sauce is great. I really
Sauce
like
is really good. The filling is good. The jalapeno gives it a little heat, but not too much heat at all.
Right. When we were tasting it out of the pan, it was like pretty spicy, but with the whole combination here, it's really not that spicy anymore.
The fun thing about empanadas is you have the crispy outside, but the inside still stays a little doughy, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's nice and soft on the inside. So
I made the shells fairly thin, so you don't get a ton of doughiness. Sometimes they're a little too doughy for my liking.
what do you think about the mushrooms and the whole pepper combo seasoning?
I like it. I feel like the sauce wins for me. The sauce.
I feel like we still under-seasoned the mushrooms. So could be a little bit more flavorful in that regard. The mushroom flavor is great. Like the ones we got, they taste really good. I think they could pop a little bit more inside here. From some of the ones we've had before.
All right, now that you've eaten one, I think we can give our final thoughts. So, I would say with the sauce that we made, it really overpowered the mushrooms and perhaps stole the show a little bit. So again, kind of for my recommendation at the beginning of the video, if you want to make this a cheaper meal, you can go ahead and just substitute lentils, and I still think this would be a rock star dinner with some lentils in it instead of the mushrooms. Right,
or if you have some like pork that you're trying to get rid of, right, or that's just just throw any little flavor combo in here. I think everything else works great with it.
Yeah.
So.
And I would say, honestly, if you are a beginner, I think you could still do this recipe. There are a lot of steps involved, so that can be a little overwhelming, but if you break it down, it's really cooking, making the filling. So if you already have something left over that you want to get rid of, you can check that box off because you're already done.
Or you can make it ahead of time. Like you can make it the day before, have the filling prepared to go, have it cold, and it'll still cook itself and heat all back up when you fry the empanadas together.
Exactly. So then it's really just making the outside and then making a simple sauce. And if you don't want to make the sauce, you could always go ahead and just dip it in some salsa if you wanted to, or just squirt some lime juice right on top, and that would be delicious as well and save you that step. But I would say it's actually pretty easy, very good. I would definitely make this again. I think this is delicious.
It's like, it's the perfect balance of like spiciness and even for beginners, people that don't like spice at all, it's like very, very low mild, but you got a lot of that flavor. I think it's an impressive dish to make too. You don't see this very often if you go over to somebody's house for a dinner party, right? And worst case scenario, if things go crazy wrong and they fall apart in the pan, or when you're frying them, or the dough doesn't work out, you're still gonna end up with like tacos, right? Like
Exactly.
Like you just change the ingredients around a little bit and just reform them, and you have like all kinds of different dishes. So if it all falls apart, just eat it with a fork instead.
And the other really fun thing is we made 8 because we did a half batch since we were running low on masa flour today. But we actually have enough mushrooms, jalapenos, and everything to make more. So if we did the full batch, we would have made 16. And the other great thing about these is once you fry them, they freeze really well. So you can just go ahead and pop them in the freezer and then basically treat it as a Hot Pocket. So when you want a quick lunch someday, you can just go ahead and take it with you and pop that baby in the microwave. It'll obviously not retain its crispiness as well, but if you bake it or refry it, it will.
Yeah, baking it would probably be my choice.
All right.
Keep it easy.
Well, I think that's all we have for you this week. We want to get the camera off so we can go finish eating all of the empanadas because some of us are definitely not going to be freezing them. We're just going to be pigs. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We hope you like this video, and go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you get alerts every time we post a video, which we will be doing weekly.
Right, and if you're going to make this recipe at home or give it a try, please like it, and we'll see you guys next time.